ranking Hurricanes opponent from the easiest to the most difficult. So I read this article and just put some stuff down here. And the people in the chat, if you agree with this ranking that we're going to go through, and we're going to try to break down as much as we can about each school, you can agree or disagree. You just type in the chat if you do. Starting with the easiest, it's not too much to say. They got Bethune-Cookman.
Oh yeah,
They were 2-10 last year, so that would be what's considered in this article their easiest game. And so, I mean, I'm pretty sure we all in agreement there. Okay, number 11 they have South Florida. They were 7-6 last year. So, and I think last year they won the game. I think it was 50-15. If that's not correct, somebody correct
they
me.
did. They did.
Okay. So that's a step up from Bethune-Cookman, but you know,
I'll tell you this about South Florida. This is the same South Florida team that for 2 years gave Alabama fits. Now, I'm not saying they're the same team this year. They weren't all, Miami, they couldn't stop Miami's offense. But there were times Miami's defense, a la Daryl Porter, couldn't stop. That's the game that woke me up, that my eyes opened up right on that game. I'm like, that slot receiver was murdering him in the one-on-one. And I thought, uh-oh. And we saw that later on in the season. So, yeah, Miami's going to win that game, but they got Florida talent. Even Bethune. I'm not even going to say it's not. I'm not going to say it's an easy win.
Right.
They're not coming to lay down for you.
Right.
I mean, as far as, okay, yeah, opponent-wise, that should be a W.
Right.
South Florida should be a W.
And South Florida was bowl eligible last year too.
That's
for
right.
people out there didn't know that. So, all right, number 10, they have Stanford. They were 3-9 last year, 2-6 in the ACC.
This is the same team that beat Louisville last year. I was shaking my head like, how does Louisville go to Clemson and win, but then go out there and lose? I'm like, how y'all lose to Stanford?
Yeah, Stanford didn't have much to offer.
It knocked Louisville out of the rankings because they were ranked.
Yeah.
And it looked good for Miami because they were ranked. That's the first thing everybody says. Well, Miami didn't beat anybody ranked. Well, they beat Louisville. They were ranked, especially after they beat Clemson, but then they went to Stanford and laid the egg. So they should handle Stanford. They should handle Stanford. But like I said, you can't take nothing lightly.
Yeah, and they're ranked number 10 of the easiest. Like I said, they do get their quarterback back, Daniels. He 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, got to be better. Ninth, believe it or not, coming in number 9 spot is our glorious Florida State. They were 2-10 last year, 1-7 in the ACC. Ironically, they got the young boy out of BC transferred in, Castellanos, the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in BC. I know some crazy stuff happened at the end of the year. I think he got benched or something, but either here or there, he's there. They at
I'm not sleeping on Florida State. You can't.
They bring it in for a new offensive line and a new line coach. So they rebuilding that offensive line and brought in a new line.
Because they've been sucking for years and years at O-line. That's always been their weakness is the line. So I expect Miami to win that game, but I don't expect a blowout.
Okay, yeah. So all right.
Not this year. Not this year. A lot of people thinking that Florida State gonna turn it around. That's to be seen.
Right.
But I think it's up in Tallahassee, ain't it?
Somebody let me know where that game at.
Yeah, it is because they play.
Oh, yeah, it is. They played at home. Yeah,
they playing up. They playing up in Tallahassee. So I expect to win, but I expect to fight.
Okay, all right. Number 8. It's interesting. Virginia Tech 6-7 last year, 4-4 in the ACC. Of course, they are returning quarterback Drones, which he looked good in 9 games, 10 touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns.
He looked good against Miami. Everybody listen. Everybody turned up for Miami. Now, when they had Clemson at home, he looked like boo-boo.
Yeah.
I watched that game. I said, okay, maybe Virginia Tech can show me something. They at home, they got
Yeah.
Clemson. They go out there and just got smacked in the mouth. He didn't look nothing like he did when he played Miami. He was up for the Miami game because Cam was his cousin. So
Right.
you know, family was talking, and he played his butt off in the Miami
Yeah,
game.
he
He
did.
looked good in the Miami. I mean, granted, Miami secondary was trash, but
Right.
he really looked good against Miami in that game. I was there. I'm like, if you look at the highlights, my man looked really good at quarterback. Now
Right.
he didn't show that again against Clemson at home,
Nah.
but that's probably fair. I don't expect much out of Virginia Tech. You know, they
Yeah.
haven't been the same without Beamer, man. Ever since Beamer left, it ain't been Beamer ball. It's not.
Nah.
They
That.
haven't gotten the type of recruits that they used to get. You know, back in the day, and that's probably a fair place. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even have them ahead of Florida State. I'd have them behind Florida as far as easier. I think they'd be
Okay.
easier to beat.
All right, first disagreement. All right, that's what it says. We got about 18 people in the building. Smash that like button and hit that subscribe button and share this video. Number 7 coming in is NC State. They were 6-7 last year, 3-5 in the ACC. Of course, last year they got CJ Bailey back, 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
That's a W.
It's-
That's a W. Let me guess who they got after that. Who they got?
Who?
I would say it's either Pitt or Syracuse.
All right. Ding, 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 ding. Number 6 coming in. Syracuse, 10-3 last year, 5-3 in the ACC. Of course, you know they lost McCord, the quarterback. And hell, he threw for 34 touchdowns last year. So that's a lot to
Replace.
replace. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about that matchup, even though it's early?
That's a win, but they should win that game. That's a revenge game.
Yeah.
They should. They should never in life lose to Syracuse.
Right. Right. I
Never,
agree. I agree.
never. They should have just went back and watched what Reggie Wayne said, and never after what happened in '98. The University of Miami should never ever in life lose to Syracuse again. Period.
I agree. It's just something about that carrier dome. I
I
don't know
don't
what it
care.
is.
They went back up that Carrier Dome in '02 and just served them, and then they went back again. They should never lose to Syracuse.
Yeah,
Period.
I agree. I agree.
Okay. The only schools on this schedule, Dwayne, that they should have a fight with is Florida State, Florida, and Notre Dame. The rest of them, I expect nothing less than 9-3 at the worst for this
Right.
team.
What do you guys think of the chat? 9-3 or better? Type in
That's
your
the worst.
predictions.
Vegas got them 8.5 right now, 8.5 point wins for next year, right now. So that's 9.
Right. Yeah.
Unless they slip up and do something silly against a NC State or a Virginia Tech or something,
Right.
you got to go to Blacksburg. But this is not the same Virginia Tech. I don't see nothing less than 9-3 to me. And really, looking at the schedule, I mean, I'm not trying to be an optimist, but 12-0, man. I don't accept nothing less than 12-0 with this schedule.
Mm.
12-0. Notre Dame lost a lot of pieces and
Yeah.
coaches. They got
Yeah.
coaches leaving.
All
So
right. Coming in at number 5. We talked about it. Pitt 7-6 last year, 3-5 in the ACC.
garbage.
The only thing they get return of their quarterback, Holstein, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I just see the only thing the Pitt thing is interesting because we don't play well up there, and that's going to be a road game
That's the
for some
last
reason.
game of the year at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so just us traveling in the cold, that game bothers me for some reason.
It
Every
don't
time
bother
they
me. It
go up
don't
there.
bother me. It doesn't bother me.
Okay. All right.
It don't bother me because I watched Clemson go up there and they could have won that game. And what they do,
Yeah,
lay the egg.
yeah. And Pittsburgh relies on the defense. We all know that and they do have 6 defensive starters returning to Pittsburgh. But Miami should go up there and handle business
They should
if
have, like I said, The toughest game on that schedule to me right now is Notre Dame and Florida.
Mm,
I think Florida gonna come down to South Florida. They're gonna come down there and they gonna want some get back.
right.
And they're gonna want to talk smack the same way Miami talked smack to their recruits and fans when we went down there last year. They want to come back down there. Now I'm not saying they're gonna win, but I'm not saying Miami better take them lightly
Right. I
they're,
agree.
because their quarterback is.
Right.
You won't find nobody in the Miami fan base when there was rumors about him transferring that would have said, "Hey, come on down here."
Right. And we're
We
gonna get to Florida. Hold on. We're gonna get to them. Number 4, Louisville. 9-4 last year, 5-3 in the ACC. Um, they got a QB transfer coming in, Miller Moss, 18 touchdowns. So they gave us fits last year. And but I will say this: even though they gave us fits, if our defense was better, that
They
game
wouldn't
wouldn't have
have.
been close.
It wouldn't have been
Yeah,
close. It
yeah,
wouldn't have even been close.
right.
They pulled the defense. Cam won that game. Him and Martinez
Yeah,
and Restrepo. Look, if you go back and look at that game, if the defense would have played halfway better, the score would have been even. They'd have won by 3 or 4 touchdowns.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they don't worry me. They
yeah.
don't, and they coming to Miami. They don't worry me. They don't worry. I'm not worried about them.
All right, all right. Number 3, we're going to SMU. 11-3 last year, 8-0 in the ACC. Of course, you know they're returning Jennings, 23 touchdowns, 3,245 yards passing, 354 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. They're returning 3 of their offensive linemen. And ironically, they did lose 4 Canes there. Yeah, 4 old Canes, but they bring it in one new Cane that was on our roster. Do you know who that is?
Uh,
Anybody know who that is?
tip of my tongue who it is. But they lost their playmakers on offense. The one kid that came from Miami, I think he going pro.
Yeah, they bring it in our buddy Tyler Van Dyke. I don't understand why, but Tyler Van Dyke is at
Well,
SMU.
because he thrived on the Red Lashley when Red
Yeah,
was OC.
I know, but to me, Van Dyke to
Arroyo's
me,
freshman year, he thrived.
yeah, he fits. To me, he fit Wisconsin because he had that big old line. If he wouldn't have got hurt, of course, he's more to me more of a pocket passer,
Yeah,
thicker
he is.
line.
He ain't gonna win.
And to me, what he'll be at Wisconsin just fit. But like you say, he down there with Red. I don't understand how that's going to go because I don't think he's going to beat out Jennings at quarterback. So I don't know how much
He is
eligibility
safety
gap.
valve. He's a safety valve in case old boy get hurt because he's mobile. And he like to run the ball and he stick his neck out there. So if he ends up, I don't want the guy to get hurt, but if he gets
Right.
hurt or popped real good and got to come out the game, then that's Van Dyke's chance to get in there. I mean, I don't dislike Tyler, man.
No, I don't dislike
I don't
him.
dislike the guy. We loved him when he was that first
Yeah.
year he came in. When he came in for De'Aaron King and just hey, everybody was loving him.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
I liked him. I just thought he was just a traditional pocket quarterback. I'm gonna put this on the screen so you can read it from Steve. Eli said 10 wins a year should be the floor.
I agree.
The beating the Canes is any team's championship, no matter what happens to the rest of the
They don't
season.
care. That's why I said about Virginia Tech. They came out. Look, I mean, I was at that game. They whole demeanor, their vibe, the aura they had. They came out like it was an old Virginia Tech team under Beamer, and it was like I was sitting there with my son, shaking my head, like, "What's going on in this game?" What?
Right.
They was the whole defense was coming. They was just like, and then okay, we got the game off the failed Hail Mary that woulda, coulda, shoulda. But then when they had the big game at home with Clemson coming to town, they laid the biggest egg. Looked like a freaking Wake Forest team. They just look.
Yeah.
I don't expect nothing out of them. And like you said, like my man said, every team that played Miami get up for Miami.
Yeah.
Bethune gonna get up for Miami. South.
Yes, sir.
Everybody gonna get up to play Miami.
Right.
hate him. People still hate him, but they live in rent free in people's minds. It's like, hey, this might not be the Canes from the 2000s or the 90s or the 80s, but still, teams get up to play them.
Right. And I do agree with Steve in this statement right here because this is what I saw before he transferred out. Say TD Talavera Dyke is awful if the defense drops 8. Yeah, he looked like a deer in the headlights, and I agree.
I don't disagree with that, but I will say this. For some reason, he was not allowed to audible, or he didn't audible. Whether it was him or the OC, Cam was allowed to audible. He would change the play. Tyler wasn't. And like my man said, if he was stuck with that play and they dropped 8 in coverage, it wasn't there.
Hey,
I don't know.
I
I
think
don't know
Cam
what. I don't know what
Alpha.
happened, man. Because when he came on 3 years ago, he looked so good. 300 some
He
yards
is.
a game. I mean, he was lighting it up.
And he was accurate when he first
He was
came.
accurate.
Yeah.
They lost that game to North Carolina, and I really thought they were going to win that game. The way he brought them back, I'm like, what happened? What? I mean, how did teams play him differently, or did something happen, man? Because he just wasn't the same after that.
Yeah, I think with the audible thing, it's like Cam came in, and I think that the coach said this in spring ball. It said that like when he seen him in spring ball, and I think he started audibling in spring ball, and he was like, man, this guy, he knows what the hell he doing. So, he earned his respect early, Cam did. And I don't know if Tyler, he was more kind of like, I don't know, run the play type.
I don't think they were confident in him to go up there and take. Like he said, he wasn't a rah guy. He wasn't an alpha. So
Right.
that probably had a lot to do with it. He didn't take command of the offense like that. You give him a play, he went out there and ran it. And then when he had to improvise is when he stunk it up. He
Right.
threw picks or whatever.
It'd be interesting if I was a fly on the wall to see what they told him to come to SMU, thinking that he's not going to be out Jennings. But hey, okay, we're going to move on. Number 2, we're going to say it is Florida. 8-5 last year, 4-4 in the SEC. Of course, we talked about, as you said, quarterback DJ Lagway. Some people down in this chat say he ain't all that. I think he's the truth. Young kid.
Listen, I'm not gonna say he ain't all that because last year's game, he drove and scored a touchdown on Miami's first team defense.
Yeah,
in that game. It was like his third drive or third or fourth time he had the ball. They drove down on Miami's first team defense and scored. So he is above average. I'm not going to say he's like elite, like my man that was at Ohio State that played with Houston, or Bryce Young, the way he was. I think Bryce Young was an exception to the rule coming out of high school, but he's not bad.
right.
He may be one of the better quarterbacks that the Miami defense faces all year.
Yeah.
If you look at every quarterback from each team that they face, he might be probably in the top 3 of the quarterbacks that they face all year. And he can run the ball, so the defense is going to be disciplined. He's got an arm. They finished 8-5. Remember, after they lost to Miami, everybody was down on Florida. Oh, they'd be lucky to win 3. They got the toughest schedules.
Right.
They turned it around,
Yeah.
Turned it around. They should have beat Tennessee. They went to overtime. They should have beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sleep on the Gators. I don't like the Gators.
Right. Hey, it sounds like I was just going to say it. I found myself for some reason defended Florida. I'm definitely not.
I was like, I hope because I knew it would look better for Miami if they were winning.
Well, that too.
And I said, they were dumping on Florida real bad. I'm like, I said, Florida's not as bad as people made them out to be.
Yeah, and I was telling a lot of people that the eye test showed you they were a lot better, and people were trying to dismiss that win. I think the national media more, the win Miami had over them, saying, "Oh well, they're not that good of a team. Miami beat them," type thing. That's
saying that shit before the game.
No, definitely not. I don't even know what the spread was before the game, but they definitely.
I know what they were saying before the game. I know what they were saying before the game. half the country had Miami losing, and the
Right.
same half after the game was saying, "Well, they weren't that good anyway."
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And I was kept looking at them. I watched Florida quite a bit last year, and I said, "No, this a good team.
They got a good
This a
team.
yeah, they got a good team."
I may have told you last week. In my opinion, I think that the top 3 teams in the SEC this year. That I think that maybe not the top 3, but the 3 teams you need to watch are going to be South Carolina, Florida, and Texas.
Mm.
Uh, Alabama, they're gonna be
Yeah.
there. They're gonna be there, but Georgia gonna reload, but I still think they got some question marks at the
Hmm.
quarterback position. The Georgia fans are, they beat their chest. Oh, we're gonna be okay. So what? We lost Carson Beck. If Carson Beck would have never left Georgia, he'd be their
Right.
starting quarterback next season.
Right.
And so I think Sellers at South Carolina.
And it's interesting, and this is the hate that people give Miami. If Carson Beck would have stayed at Georgia, he'll be ranked in the top 5 quarterbacks returning.
Yep. Yep.
But since he coming to Miami
Now he
now
ain't.
he's yeah.
I don't even know if he did. I seen some. They didn't even have him in the top 10.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, boy, that's some hate going there,
These the
boy.
same
I don't
people.
understand.
These the same pundits and people that was raving about him, especially after his first year when he had Brock Bowers and he was
Yeah,
putting up
and
stupid
McConkley and
numbers.
them. Yeah,
He put up ridiculous numbers in 23.
right.
You come back to 24 with that line they had, and the receivers dropping the ball like crazy for him. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Well, it just. I'd rather talk to people that know what they're talking about when it comes to the sport versus
right.
off their emotions and feelings of what they, or I don't like this school. Hey, man, I don't like Ohio State, but guess what? They caught fire at the right time and they were solid.
Right.
Beat the sleeves off Oregon. And when they did that, I'm like, I couldn't see nobody beat them. They were the most complete team. And I hate them with all my fiber, but they were the most complete team.
Right.
So you got to get past feelings and look at on paper what you got.
Yeah.
At both sides of the ball in each position, where you loaded at, where's the depth at? And
Right.
Florida turned out to be a better team than people said.
Yeah.
Miami's defense came back to bite them. They were saying that before the season started. The one weakness is the secondary. We're worried about the secondary. And it showed at the Virginia Tech game, and from then on, it showed in the South Florida game.
Yeah.
But it's really showed in the Virginia Tech game, and from then on out, the secondary was just because that was people that were talking about what they knew they were talking about.
Right. Yeah. And they were up for that game. The defense actually played really well in the Florida game. And what got my concern is how it's so important that when people get film on you, you got to have talent on your defense once they learn how to attack you, that you got playmakers, no matter if they got film on you or not.
Right.
And I think that's what happened kind of with Miami's defense. The more games they played, people started getting film on them. They figured out ways to attack them, and the guys that were at those positions just couldn't make the plays.
They figured out how to attack the defense. They knew they couldn't stop They couldn't stop Miami from scoring. But if we could put up enough points, a la what Syracuse did.
Right.
They knew where to attack Miami. They knew Miami's corners and safety play was just subpar.
Play like cheeks. We already know straight through the cheeks.
So they knew how to attack them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not gonna play. They're gonna play very little zone because they don't. They knew, and Guidry knew this as a defensive coordinator. He didn't trust his safeties to play zone.
Mm.
Shit, you couldn't hardly trust your corners to play one-on-one with these guys. How am I gonna trust my safeties to go out there and play a zone defense and try to cover a deep route? Either way, it was you losing with that defense they had last year. So that's why I don't put it all on Guidry. A lot of it was his scheme, and a lot of it was the personnel he had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say it again, man. Those 2 safeties you lost to the league. Big ups to Cam Kinchens. He had a great year with the Rams. Great year with the LA Rams. He showed you. Yeah. That's good for Miami. He was, he came from the U.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying
he had a solid year.
He had a solid year in the NFL. So That tells you if he would. I'm glad he did what he did.
Yeah.
But if he would have came back for his last year at Miami, would they have been a little bit better in the back end? I think so.
Yeah, a whole lot better. We got 30 people in the building. Smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Number one, of course, first game of the season, 14-2, runner-up national champions, Notre Dame. Returning, of course, we watched plenty of football at Jeremiah Love, being from the Midwest, so I've seen him play in high school. 1,125 yards, 17 touchdowns. Plus, they got the other stud Price, 746 yards, 7 touchdowns. Don't know the QB situation. I don't know if Angelini going to start or CJ Carter, young boy. So it's going to be interesting. And of course, I think they got a lot of playmakers coming back on that defense. That defense and it's rock solid. So
What were they ranked?
I don't have their defensive
No, no,
ranking.
no, no. You had the ranking for the college teams when we first
Oh,
started the show. What were they ranked?
they were ranked. They
11
were ranked.
or
Yeah,
14?
11th. They was ranked
They
11th,
ranked,
right
they were
outside
ranked
the.
11.
And I'm gonna verify that. But go ahead.
Okay. Um, Number one, yeah, you could argue they'd be the toughest team to play. I mean, some people might say Florida gonna be the toughest team. I always think Florida and Florida State gonna be real tough just because it's a rivalry game. These kids know each other.
Right.
You know, they know each other from JFL to high school. They talk smack to each other. You know, they do one-on-ones in the summer with each other. So you could say I would. I don't know, man. I could argue that Florida might be the toughest game they're gonna play.
Yeah.
People just, I mean, whoever wrote this, you know, they're gonna say Notre Dame because they came off playing Ohio State, and Notre Dame's got a good team.
Right.
But do I expect Miami to lose? No,
No. Yeah.
I don't expect them to lose that game. Unless something bad happens, I don't expect them to lose that game. Miami got weapons too.
A lot of weapons.
Miami got a really, really, really good running back room, and they got some really, really good receivers, and they got one of the best offensive lines in the country, and they got some of the best tight ends.
Right.
I mean, if the defense does what they're supposed to do, I don't expect them to lose that game.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I look at that game, I see a couple of things we know Miami got to do. We know Notre Dame is not a prolific passing team.
Right.
We know they're physical. They play the classic Big Ten football. They're going to run the ball. They're going to try to be physical with you.
The fastest
And
win.
yeah, and so when I see that game, it's going to be Miami going to have to at home match their physicality. That's what it's all going to come down to in that game. There is can they match their physicality, and if they can, they should be okay.
I think,
Because
yeah.
you know, it's interesting when we talk about the speed versus power. I mean, you can have a lot of speed, but we all know it's a lot of teams. Even if you go look at the national championship, Ohio State had a gang of speed, but they were also physical. So you gotta. That's the most interesting thing that I'm looking to see from Miami. How
I
physical
watched
they're
that.
going to be.
We all watched the Natty, and Ohio State could have blew them out in the first half.
Yeah,
They made mistakes.
yeah, yeah.
So it wasn't like it was close.
No,
Ohio State could have blew them boys off the field in the first half.
yeah, yeah,
They made some mistakes.
yeah,
So I'm sure Miami gonna watch that game and watch film on that game. And I think the faster team will win, the more disciplined team will win. And it's about attitude.
yeah.
What